anybody that you have.
There's just one question. Are we recording the session?
Yes, great question. Now, someone
now
is recording.
It has started. Now
it has started.
It's me.
Now it has started.
Okay.
Thank you. So this is the team that we have on the line. And as you can see, myself is here. I am Annalise Chalmers. I'm a manager in the valuation modelling and economics team. I've been with EY for 6 years now, and my background is as a mechanical engineer. And I'm also from New Zealand and transferred to Finland 3 years ago. So I think we can start with from the left. So I'll now hand over to Kinga to introduce herself and the rest of the team. Thanks, Kinga.
Great. Thank you so much, Annalise. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this information session. So my name is Kinga Charpentier. I'm a partner in our Nordic corporate finance team, and I'm also heading the corporate finance team here in Finland. I have a background of around 15 years within corporate finance, part of that in Finland or the Nordics, but I also spent quite a long time in London and Dublin working for different investment banks there. 15 years down the line, I'm still super excited about working in corporate finance. I think it's a very rewarding profession, and I'm very keen to get more women into this space because having worked in all sorts of different locations, I really believe that diversity is super important for us to be better advisors and for us to add values to our clients. So yes, without further ado, I'll hand over to Lily, but welcome, and I'm very excited for you to be here today.
Thanks, Kinga. Welcome also from my side. So I'm Lily Kirikkal. I'm a director within our valuation modeling and economics part of our team. And I've been with EY for 13 years. So you may also wonder what has kept me here so long. And the key thing is obviously that there are so many learning opportunities every day. I still feel that I develop and learn new things. And this is very inspiring to have such a great team, to have so smart people around you. You never feel alone in making decisions and in working with clients. So that's amazing, and I think very exciting. Katarina, to you.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Katarina Jalas. I've got a dual role. I've got the role of being the Nordic HR business partner for strategy and transactions. And also I'm the HR director for Finland, so it keeps me busy. I've been at EY for about 1.5 years now, and before then I actually lived in London for 18 years and was in HR for the last 20 years, mostly in banking. So moving back to Finland 3 years ago with my family, I've got a British husband and 2 kids. It really felt like a homecoming, also coming back to EY, where I was looking at sort of the world of strategy and transactions from a different perspective, from a consulting perspective, and really coming to an environment where I felt like I belonged. So hopefully we'll be able to talk a little bit more about that later on, but really nice to meet you all.
And it's me next, I believe. So hi everyone, nice to see you here. My name is Heta Häkkinen and I come from the EY talent team, and more specifically from talent attraction and acquisition team. So I'm part of our 4-people recruitment team, and I'm working most with strategy and transactions. It's one of my units that I cooperate with what comes to recruiting and talent attraction and employer branding as well. And happy to be here 2nd year for a row in this program, and I've been at EY a little over 2 years and enjoying the ride so far very much. Annalise?
I think I've already introduced myself
Yes.
at the beginning. So Antti, we'll do you next. Hi. You're on mute, Antti.
Sorry.
Great.
Sorry
Thanks.
for that. Yeah.
That's
nice
okay.
to meet you all. I'm Antti Sinkkonen. I'm a senior analyst at EY Parthenon, which lies within EY Strategy and Transactions. Been at EY for a bit over 2 years now. I've studied industrial engineering and management, so I'm an engineer. So these transactions is suitable place also for engineers, and done different sort of traineeships during my studies, but let's say this is the first real job that I have after university. But really have enjoyed my time here, and I have been mostly working with post-merger integrations and executing different sort of divestments that the companies have done. So, but anything you want to ask about how a student can get to EY or anything else related to our job, I'm more than happy to answer your questions.
Thanks, Antti. Lauri?
Hi there, Lauri Keskinen here, Senior Analyst at the Corporate Finance team here in EY, and glad to see all of you could make it. And as for my background, I joined EY 2.5 years ago, I think. So I came in as a trainee and then was brought on as a full-time analyst that same fall. And been on that track ever since. And prior to that, I did my business studies at Aalto University, and during my studies also did an internship in a corporate finance boutique. Did also some group finance related tasks in a publicly listed Finnish company in the consumer product sector. And as with Antti, this is basically my first so-called real job. So joined out of school as I mentioned. And my tasks mainly deal with sell side and buy side corporate finance work and some fundraising engagements as well. So basically the tasks that you would traditionally associate with corporate finance from like as you would study the topic in school. And we'll welcome any questions in that regard, and anything you might want to ask related to applying and like joining in as a trainee or an analyst or whatever comes to mind with relation to corporate finance work. Thanks.
Yeah, hi all. My name is Paula Foss, and I'm one of the participants of last year's competition. But yeah, I will tell you more about my background later while sharing my last year's experience. And yeah, happy to be here and answer to your questions.
Great, thanks, Paulina.
Yeah, hi everyone, welcome. My name is Chie Cheing, also same as Paulina, last year's participant. Brief background is I'm from Aalto, and I'll share more about my background later. Yeah, happy to be here.
And then whilst she's not on this slide, I also do really want to welcome Olli as well. She is going to be in charge of our chat so that none of your questions get missed. So she is also here with us. So thanks, Olli, for also joining and being a part of this. So as you can see, you have an incredible group of people, if I don't say so myself, that have some great knowledge that we can share with you this morning. Whilst this is really strongly based on the competition, we're also available to answer any other questions that you have about EY in general. So you would have heard most of us actually say this word, strategy and transactions. Now, I think sometimes consulting firms can be sort of this web of confusing titles and acronyms. And one thing we really want to do is make it completely clear to you how our team works and the type of work that we do. So I'm going to hand over to Kinga and Lily. I'm going to hand over to Lily, and she's going to take you through strategy and transactions, what it is, how it's structured. And then Kinga will provide a case study of the type of work that we do, just so that it's really clear. So Lily, over to you.
Thanks, Annelies. So indeed, we do realize there are lots of terminology things around here, and not all of you may know exactly what we do. So let me shed some light on this. First of all, you may know EY as a global company, and mainly people tend to know EY for their auditing services, which is still the biggest part of our business. However, more and more our business is consisting of consulting and advisory services. So we have, of course, strategy and transactions, which I will tell you a little bit more on the next slide. But we have also business consulting and tax advisory. So business consulting being something that strategy consultants around the world do a lot. So EY is definitely in the strategy consulting business, and it overlaps also a lot with the transactions where we particularly work in. And with respect to the Nordic presence, so you can see here that what's the number of our people in each office. So in Finland, we are almost 100 people, so completely focused on strategy and transactions alone, which is the largest team of its kind in Finland. So maybe next slide.
Sure. I wonder, Lily, if you could expand on like the total number of people across all those service lines. Have we got around 400 across the whole business, or is it much larger? No, it's like 1,000.
In Finland in total, you mean?
Yeah, doing.
Okay, Katarina, you may have to interfere here, but I think because it's not only Helsinki office, because we have also local offices, and audit is really big in those. I think it's more than 600 for sure. Katarina, can you say any exact number?
So our total employee count for Finland is about 1,000 people. And
wow! Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And of those in assurance, we've got about 400 people. And then strategy and transactions about 100. Tax and law about 200. And consulting and our core business services making up the rest.
Okay, wow. Thanks for that. Sorry.
Yes, no, thanks for this clarification. It's easy to get focused on my own small area that I'm so passionate about. Yeah. So here, a little bit more about strategy transactions. I think it's also useful for you to hear about that, because the case study we want to be doing with you in this competition will try to involve as many angles of our work as possible. So let's get through this. You can see 3 colors here, the green, the blue, and the purple. So I will be focusing on the green and blue this time. So green being the core, like transactions and corporate finance, and the blue being more of this consulting, strategy consulting business, which we now call EY Parthenon, after we joined our forces with the Parthenon strategy consulting firm a few years ago. I will not get into great detail on the purple area, which is international tax and transaction services. So we definitely do a lot of tax and legal consulting, by the way, and that is a very important part of transactions world as well. But in this competition, we will not be testing you on that, not too much at least. So let me start from the left-hand side. You see there the lead advisory, and Kinga will dig deeper into that as well. But briefly, you should know what is lead advisory. So this is what we call, in other words, corporate finance or M&A, these acronyms, merger and acquisitions being, which you see around at the market. So this is why it's called lead advisory. It's about leading the process of transactions. So if a client wants to buy something, a company, or sell a company, our lead advisory team will most likely be leading this process, driving things forward. Lead advisor will have very good contacts to the potential investors at the market, and you will be learning about different categories of investors, such as corporate investors or financial investors, for example. And lead advisory obviously has very good understanding of potential companies at the market that are possibly suitable for buying, and they will know why, because they will match maybe the client's strategy very well, their acquisition, ambitions. So this is all what lead advisory do, and they do a lot of compiling of the materials and compiling of the story around the transaction. Why would you like to do this? What is the key thing that you are really after? What drives the value here? What is the story behind why you are doing something? Which is the core in everything what we do. You have to know and understand what is the story really, what we're after. So Kinga will get to that deeper. So let me quickly cover the rest of the boxes. Valuation modeling economics is where I'm personally involved in. It's very closely related to transactions, obviously, because we will be the ones who do these long-term business models and very educated business models sometimes, but sometimes very, very simple models as well, depending on the need. So to support the transactions with respect to the valuation angles, but not only just transactions, we do modeling and valuations for many, many different purposes. And I'm not going to get too deep into that yet, but another time, or if you ask me questions later, I will be happy to. Moving forward, transaction diligence is also one area where I have personally been involved in the past. So transaction diligence is something that you do just before a transaction. It's also your obligation to do it as a buyer, for example, because you have to know what you are really buying. I mean, before you own the company, how much do you really know about the company? Well, maybe not too much, because the company does not necessarily publish all the data about their operations. So transaction diligence is taking a deep dive into the company, understanding primarily their financials, but not only, depending on the areas of work we do. We can do financial diligence, tax diligence, operational diligence, commercial diligence, regulatory diligence, all kinds of areas. So they represent a really deep dive and understanding what this business is really about, and again, what are the key value drivers of this business and how they keep developing. So this feeds into the valuation exercise, and it feeds into the lead advisory work to understand better that what are the key value drivers of this company and therefore how much it could be worth. Very quickly moving towards the EY Parthenon box as well, because we definitely want this to be included into the case study that you are also about to do, and is a very exciting part of our business. So starting from the left again, which is simply called strategy. This is actually a very wide area, but it's a business consulting, a strategy consulting at its widest. If a company wants to improve its business, if its owners have expectations that the business could be doing better, or maybe they have ambitions for a company, what they could be doing, our strategy consulting services are here to help with bright ideas, with going to sit down with the company and thinking together with its people what could be the best options and available for this company. Second box, transaction strategy and execution. This is in relation to specifically transactions that, okay, through this acquisition, how do we best create value? To make a tangible plan how to create value. Because I mean, transactions, they are not very straightforward things. No one transaction is exactly similar to another transaction. There are very many different things you need to consider. For example, is this business a truly standalone business? It's a very typical issue, because most frequently this business may not be a standalone business that you want to buy. So you need to fully separate it first of all. You need to understand how it looks on a standalone basis. And after that, you may want to merge it into your existing business. So there are lots of integration topics going around here which need to be covered in order to realize synergies and therefore realize the best value in the business. Extremely important area in transactions. And the final box, just quickly to cover, the turnaround and restructuring strategy. So sometimes the companies being bought or sold are not maybe in the best shape. And that does not mean that these businesses are not feasible or sustainable in the future. It just means something has happened to them and therefore they need to do something about it. Sometimes it's more focused on the financing side that you need to discuss with your basically your lenders, those who give you the money, that what do we want to do to turn around this business to make it work, because the current financing structure doesn't work and is making the company unnecessarily burdened. But not always. Sometimes it's about the operations that they need to be reversed, streamlined. They need to be changed because the current business plan really is not working and the company is really, really in trouble, meaning it's really under distress. Perhaps in longer term going towards bankruptcy if nothing is being changed. So this is something that we do. We try to save the companies if at all possible. So we go in there, we provide substitute CEOs, substitute functions for missing positions if necessary as well. So also very, very exciting and rewarding area. So very shortly, this is it. I do encourage you to ask questions in the end, but for now I will go over to Kinga to dig deeper into lead advisory.
Thanks, Lily. I think not that much more to add. I think you covered it really well. I think maybe just in relation to our M&A or corporate finance team, which we internally, title lead advisory, but it really is a corporate finance M&A team. We're around 13 people here in Finland, and then around 70 in the Nordics. We work on a quite integrated basis. So we do work across the Nordics on a lot of opportunities, and we're quite tightly linked to our international corporate finance colleagues and broader strategy and transaction colleagues as well. So that makes our work also really interesting, because a lot of our clients look at cross-border transactions, so not just transactions in Finland, but they look to acquire or sell companies either in the Nordics or abroad as well. In terms of what we do, I think Lily pointed towards that already. So we support clients, whether it's corporate clients or financial private equity clients, basically on their strategy for growth, and they can of course grow organically, i.e. by growing through internal processes, or they can grow inorganically, for example, when they want to enter a new market or expand their services or acquire a different customer segment. Sometimes it's just much faster to actually acquire a company who can do that already. And that's where we come in, basically. So we help them either acquire a company or finance or sell a company, or if they want to keep the company but need money in order to build something or expand organically, then we help them with raising the necessary funds to be able to do that. In terms of maybe one thing to add is we are pretty much working across all types of different sectors. We are quite sector specialized as a firm. So as you sort of grow through your career at EY, the likelihood of you becoming sort of an expert in one or several sectors is quite likely. So we look at energy transactions, for example. We look at technology and media transactions. We look at automotive. We look at consumer products. I mean, we basically cover all types of different sectors, which is also super exciting. So maybe that's about our corporate finance team. I think one case study that we have here, and maybe just to give you a bit of a feel for what we do in a more practical way. So as you might have seen in the media, so we worked with Fortum, which I'm sure all of you know, it's one of the Nordics' largest utilities, but obviously Finland's largest energy company. So we worked with them as a sell-side advisor when they decided to sell one of their district heating networks just outside Helsinki. So we basically really advised them on basically positioning the company. So really looking at what is driving the value in that company, what are the avenues for growth for that company, and presenting it as part of the marketing to potential buyers. We run all the process, we manage the due diligence, and basically supported them throughout the entire process with the negotiations until then the final buyer was selected, and the transaction was completed. Besides being the corporate finance advisor, we also provided financial due diligence services. We helped them with the tax structuring on that. So I think that is something where I think EY really differentiates itself from other corporate finance houses, whether it's banks or boutiques, that we can provide all the services that Lily also described, which are very relevant for transactions and transaction execution, that we have all of those in-house. And the advantage is really that we can just run processes much more smoothly and much more efficiently for our clients. So that's probably it from myself.
Great. Thank you so much, Kinga and Lily. That was really insightful. So now we're going to move on to diversity and inclusiveness at EY. The Corporate Finance Woman of the Year competition is really important to us around our diversity and inclusiveness agenda. And I don't think there's any other better person to talk about this than Katarina, and I feel that it's just so great to have you here this morning to speak to us about this. So please, Katarina.
Thank you, Annalise, and it's lovely to be here and to be talking about this topic, which is very close to my heart. And I guess it would be good to mention why we feel the need to have a competition like Corporate Finance Woman of the Year. And whilst we've made some progress, but if we look at the Nordic Strategy and Transactions team, we do have a gender imbalance in our employee. And I just looked it up. So at the moment, we've got 22.2% female out of the sort of 450 people in the Nordics. So clearly, what we would like to get to is more of a 50-50 split. The good news is that through initiatives such as this one, at the kind of lower ranks, we are at the 50% rate. So we can see that progress is being made. But kind of one of the main things is around what kind of company culture do we have and do we want to have? And just to kind of go back to the basics of defining terms, what do we mean by diversity and inclusiveness? For us, diversity is around having different types of people with different experiences and different backgrounds. And inclusiveness is about the kind of culture that we create so that we are actually valuing those differences and as a result, getting better business results. If we could go to the next slide, please.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I don't need to tell you this. I think we all know this, but there's loads of research and data points about what does it mean for company performance to have lots of diversity and inclusion in their company, and the numbers speak for themselves. And this is something that it's good to kind of keep in the backs of our minds. But the bottom line is it's just the right thing to do, and it's a better environment for everybody, and we do better work as a result. So moving on, and although with the Corporate Finance Woman of the Year competition, we are focusing on women, we do view differences as a very broad spectrum. And for example, if I look at this chart, I could pick many things here that feel that differentiate myself, and just a personal reflection. Having kind of lived in other countries for more than half of my life, although I am Finnish, I felt when I came back to Finland 3 years ago, I did feel like a foreigner, and I was kind of worried about, can they hear that that my Finnish doesn't sound exactly right? Am I using the right words? So these feelings of difference are in all of us. And the aspect of difference tends to be different depending on our backgrounds and circumstances. So we're focusing on the broad spectrum of difference, and believe that makes for a really good environment where we belong. Moving on. So there's kind of never been a better time to be in HR at EY. So I have to sort of thank my lucky stars every day that I am here now, because we are making a lot of changes to, first of all, we've recently changed our global strategy, which is called Next Wave. And I'm sure you can find out a little bit more information on that on our website. And as part of Next Wave, one of our talent priorities is to attract and retain exceptional and diverse people. And in order to do this, we have launched a transformative leadership model where we are very concrete about the types of behaviors that we expect from our people. And even though it's called a leadership model, what we mean by that is we are all leaders, and this touches us all. So moving on to get a little bit more concrete detail around our leadership model. And I do believe that as part of your application, this model may be referenced. So as a top tip for you, you can find out more information about this on our website as well. So here we start at the center with my purpose, what drives us, what's important to us, and we move from the heart over to, you know, what can we do to be a better me? What can we do to be a better us? And how can we achieve our vision of building a better working world? And in those circles, we've got different behaviors, and I've pulled out 2 of them, which I think are really relevant for creating a sense of belonging and fostering diversity in the workplace. And that is belonging, where we ask very specific questions of ourselves. So, for example, do I regularly check in with all team members personally and professionally? Do I consistently create an open and inclusive environment where all people feel free to be themselves? Do I seek and value differing perspectives, ideas, approaches, and styles? And on the teaming front, we ask, do I bring together a diverse mix of talent and adjust my work style to work effectively across different cultures and styles to improve the collective EY intelligence, and so on. So what we try and do is go from the very lofty ideas, abstract ideas, into the very practical, everyday questions of, is this what I do? Am I embodying these behaviors? And we actually seek feedback on these regularly through our performance management system, and that way measure how we're doing along this scale. Good. Moving on. Talking about concrete and practical. So we are blessed to have many people interested in building a better working world, both for us internally and for our clients. And hence we've got a number of initiatives across the Nordics that we foster. So number 1 on the list there is Women in Transactions, which is something that we have in Sweden and Denmark at the moment. And it's a great sort of informal network. And instead of kind of the traditional, let's network and, you know, maybe over a drink or something like that, this is actually about activities. So this is about sporting events and exercising and trying new things together and getting to know kind of what the world of transactions is like and sharing experiences there. We were very proud to be an official sponsor of Helsinki Pride for the 2nd year running. And again, our hashtag was BU, and we thought it was really important to take a stand and again show rather than just talk about how we support minority groups and more broadly how we support kind of all of our differences. I'm also very excited about internationals at EY, which is already up and running in Denmark and in Norway and has started in Finland as well. We have an international population of employees with us. Many of them are on this call. And what we're trying to do is identify kind of themes that are important to our international population, how to improve processes such as recruitment and onboarding and development, and this is something that we're looking forward to taking a bit further this financial year. And obviously we've got the Corporate Finance Woman of the Year, which currently takes place in Finland and in Norway, but we're looking to broaden that out to the other Nordic countries as well. So with that, we are obviously in line with our Helsinki Pride sponsorship. We're very sensitive that this Corporate Woman of the Year competition is open to all who identify as female, and would welcome applications from a broad range of applicants. I think that's it for me.
Thanks so much, Katarina. Oh, I've got a bit of an echo. Oh no, we're good.
I'll go on mute.
Okay, thanks. So the next part is really talking about the competition next year. Last year. So maybe just one thing before I kick off into that. The competition last year was held in person, so it was held on site at the EY offices. This year, the event will be completely virtual due to COVID-19, and depending on what the situation is closer to the time after the competition, we may look at holding a small event which people can attend, such as a dinner or something like that. So the experience, so just keep that in mind when we're walking through this, is that there will be some differences in this year's competition and how it's run. So last year's competition, we had a lot of applications, and out of those applications, we picked or selected 10 people to be invited and participate on the day. During the day, we had group assignments. So there were groups of 3 or 4 people, and we gave them a case assignment, which they had to present to a jury of 3 members last year. And then there was also individual assignments. So you were given a portion of time to work on your individual question, the response to your individual question, and then you also presented this to the jury as well. There was also opportunities throughout the day to network with strategy and transactions representatives. So, for example, we had met some people like Antti or Lauri attend, and there was opportunities to talk to them and ask them specific questions around strategy and transactions. Another thing that's really important to us is feedback, and we also provided each participant with individual feedback on the day, and we will be doing that this year as well. So sort of in the theme of what Katarina was talking about, we had a really diverse educational backgrounds that were part of the competition, and we've listed these here. The ones that I have highlighted represent Paulina and Chie Cheing, but they will go into that in more detail in their sections. And then also we had many universities presented as well. So we really did have a really diverse group of people on the day, which was really great. And I think just to encourage you, if you don't kind of have a pure finance background, we really do still encourage you to enter the competition. We really do welcome diversity in thinking and diversity in background. So please be encouraged to apply for the competition, even though you may think in your mind you don't fit into this box. We still really want to hear from you and have you involved on the day. So now I will hand over to Paulina, and she's going to go through her experience of the day last year. Thanks, Paulina.
Yeah, thank you, Annelies. So hi again, everyone. My name is Paulina. I'm industrial engineering and management student. I graduated as a Bachelor of Science from LUT University last spring. And now I actually started my master's studies at the Aalto University and with major in strategy. But yeah, so as Annelies told, I'm today here to share my experience of the last year and also give some tips and tricks for you related to both the application process and the competition day itself. But yeah, first I would like to talk about the competition day. So the atmosphere of the event was very warm and cheerful, and to be honest, it really didn't feel like a competition, as like the competitors were constantly like supporting each other and cheering each other. During the day, we had one group assignment and one individual assignment that we presented to jury. And both of the assignments were, in my opinion, challenging, which is definitely a good thing, as I learned so many things while solving the cases with my group and presenting them to jury, and also getting feedback from the jury. So it was definitely a good thing, and I learned a lot during the day. But yeah, I also remember that I was a bit nervous about presenting the cases to the jury, but they were also very supporting, and I had a feeling that they really wanted me to succeed in that presentation. Okay. Then I would also like to point out that a couple of days after the competition, I received an invitation to a traineeship interview, and actually at the moment I'm looking forward to start my traineeship at EY's valuation modeling and economics team. So I really want to also emphasize that the participation can lead to other kind of opportunities as well, even though you don't have like previous experience or only like basic experience in corporate finance. And then lastly, I would like to share some tips and tricks with you. First, regarding the application process. So when applying to the competition, bring out your personality and also make sure you answer everything required. And maybe one good idea could also be to ask your friend to go through the application before sending it. And then regarding the competition day and the group activity. So as earlier already told, take an advantage of your group's diverse backgrounds, as I really believe that the utilization of like different perspectives and strengths can really like increase the quality of the your overall like presentation. And in addition, I really encourage you to get to know to other competitors and also people from EY. So I think the event is very great possibility to get an insight on what is it like to work at EY, and also to get to know like what kind of career opportunities they might have. But yeah, that's all from my part. I would like to wish you good luck to the application process and to the competition day, and I'm very happy to answer to the questions in the end of this session and during the session as well.
Great, thanks so much, Paulina. And now Chie Cheing.
All right, thanks, Paulina. So hi everyone, my name is Chie Cheing. So I do have a background in finance and I'm studying in Aalto, but I do have a minor in non-finance fields such as strategy user experience design. And I also did a bachelor in international business. So it's not like you need a finance background, as Annalise mentioned, or anyone else has been mentioning. Diversity is important in this competition. So experience on the day, again, we have valuation and growth strategy case, met a lot of EY people from different divisions, different backgrounds, and also very interesting competitors. I don't know if I should mention, but my team was with Paulina, and we had a really good team. That's why we really enjoyed ourselves, and we were amongst the top winners also. So really enjoyed the team. Something different I'd like to provide from Paulina is my mentoring experience. So from this competition, you'll have the opportunity to be mentored by one of the EY employees, and I was with Lily, and throughout my mentoring experience, we talked a lot about career, practical insights, and interview tips. So it was really kind of interesting that EY also has this aspect of mentorship that most companies that I know of don't really have it. But the mentoring experience is not all about work and stuff. We also talk about personal stuff, and we also went for cafe hopping. We visited various cafes and whatnot before COVID, so it was kind of fun. Some tips and tricks perhaps is first, to leverage your strengths and also not to forget to trust your teammates. I believe everyone comes from different backgrounds, so you might have a strength in numbers, but also know that your teammates have a strength in, say, knowing the Finnish climate market better than you. So really be aware of whose strengths are what, and be prepared to just trust your teammates. And yeah. And the other thing I really think is important is ask a lot of questions, because throughout the whole competition, you get to meet a lot of people, not only EY employees, but also competitors. For example, I just reached out to one of the other competitors this morning to ask about her position in another company. So really, you can leverage the network throughout this competition. And I think that's the key points. And feel free to ask me anything about the competition or how you can prepare later. Good luck.
Great. Thanks so much, Chie Cheing, and thank you both for sharing your experience. So last but definitely not least, I'm going to hand over to Hetta, and she's going to talk us through some specific details around the application process. So thanks so much, Hetta.
Yeah, thanks. I think it's in everyone's mind that what's next, since it's a wonderful competition, and how to get involved. So this is it. So I basically just telling about our application process, how it looks like this year. So I think many of you might have noticed that the application period is on now until the 25th of October, so a few weeks. And the link to the application portal is in our competition website, and it leads you straight to the application form, which is in our higher view system. At first, you will provide your short contact details, upload your CV and university transcripts as the first step, and everything in the application process should be in English, all the documents and your answers and so on. So after the documents, you will be led to on-demand interview phase by video in the higher view. So we'll have a few questions for you to answer, some of them in video format and one in written format. So it's easy and quick to use, and the system will lead you through it. And for the videos, you may record the video 3 times, and they are usually 1 to 2 minutes limit. So quick and short, stay on point, and you will have unlimited time for thinking about your answer. So you will have a lot of time to think about your answer. And then there's written question, word limit of 250 words. And you may also use external sources once you're answering. And the higher view works with computer and your phone, as well as all the tablets. So it's easy and works with all the technologies. And once you get into the higher view, you can always, if you answer first question and then you quit, you can always, it will give you a link to the email, so you can continue where you got at the first phase, and you can continue from there. So it's quite easy and nice to use. And after the application process is completed, we will be, after all the application period time, we'll go through the applications carefully and consider who will be the top 10 finalists we'll be inviting to the program. And there was one question in the enrollment form that, as there is no cover letter submitted for this position, can the CV be a little longer? Or what is the valuation between the CV, transcript of records, and the video interview? We do not have any maximum length for the CV, but for my recommendation would be 2 pages maximum. 1 is okay as well, but since we don't have any cover letter, if you want to write something down about yourself. You may have a short summary in your CV, for example. But anyway, there is no maximum length, but maximum of 2 pages would be my recommendation for this purpose. And what comes to the evaluation between all these 3 aspects of evaluation? Well, I would say that the video interview phase is quite important, because we are really keen to hear your diverse aspects and ideas and thoughts. What do you answer to our questions? Of course, we are interested in your background and what you have been studying and what kind of classes have you attended and so on. So we review these 3 aspects as a whole, and every of those are important. But for example, we don't have any limits for grades or so on. So I would say the biggest emphasis is on the video part. But well, all 3 aspects matter, but I hope that answers the question correctly. Does anyone has anything to add about our evaluation?
Maybe just one thing on the cover letter. There is one specific question in the process, in addition to the 3 questions, that is just tell us a bit more about yourself. So this is also the opportunity where you can sort of open up maybe the typical things that you might put in a cover letter.
Yes, good.
So there's also that as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can go to the next slide.
Sure, there we go.
Yeah. So who can apply for the competition? There is our criteria. So one has to be either resident in Finland or international students studying in Finland. So the right to work in Finland is required, because, well, the price for the competition is a trainee period at EY. So we are looking for someone who could join us as trainee as well.
Mm-hmm.
And full-time student registration, and well, as already mentioned, there is no any limitations on educational background. So we are really interested to see diverse backgrounds and educational ideas, but the most important is that you're interested in corporate finance and learning about it, and great attitude and a business mindset. So for the competition, we'll invite 10 best candidates, but all the applicants will be informed quickly after the application, as soon as possible. And then there's a question about, what about graduates? Are they eligible to apply? Depending on how long it has been after your graduation, I would say. But if it's in few months, I said it would be okay if it's really close to your graduation. Do you agree, Annelies?
Yep.
Yeah. That's okay from my side. And if you have any questions more coming, I'll be happy to answer.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Hi. I would have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. We can hear you.
So cool. Hi, I'm Nelly, and thank you for the very informative session. I'm really interested to apply, but I'm really thinking about, like, if I would be able to get through the application process and into the competition. Could maybe the 2 last year's competitors tell us how to prepare for the competition, and what kind of studies did you do to help you with the cases that you did?
Maybe just before I hand over to Pauliina and Chie Cheing on that, the application questions are slightly different this year. So whilst they'll be able to provide insight on the questions that they answered, we have changed it a little bit this year just to keep things interesting.
Okay.
And then just to add another layer on that, the responses are only 1 to 2 minutes long, and the questions are quite broad. We're not sort of, it's not like a university examination where we will be asking for the utmost technical detail on, I don't know, the build up of the weighted average cost of capital or something like that. We're not going to ask a really specific technical question. They're quite broad, and in that sense it's similar to last year, but the questions won't be exactly the same. But I don't know whether Paulina or Chie Cheing, you have something to add in terms of preparation and then how you prepared for the questions and how you prepared for the case on the day.
Yeah, so just to double check, so start with how I prepared to the applying competition. Yeah. Well, to be honest, I don't remember exactly all the questions, like what they were like exactly, but I didn't prepare that much to the application. We had like at least one question about the why am I applying, and then to tell about one women leader that inspires me, and then one question about like there was this framery company, so I think it was well, to be honest, sorry, I don't remember exactly, but I didn't like I don't think I prepared that much to it, so I did it like more spontaneous way. And
okay.
Yeah, maybe just to add a bit on that, yeah, I didn't really prepare for it, for the reason that I want it to be like fresh when I go into any case that they put. But one tip that I think is very helpful is to know that there is no right or wrong answers in any project or case. So just be prepared to back your answers no matter what. And also, if you come into consensus with your team, although it's not your answer, you can trust that your team has discussed it thoroughly, and just be prepared to answer back your reasoning up. Yeah, I think that's the most important. There's no right or wrong answers. Yeah.
Okay. And perhaps just to add even another layer to that, which I didn't actually go through, which is a very good point. We have each group gets a mentor, and each mentor rotates around each of the groups. So we're really lucky, and I apologize I didn't introduce you at the beginning, Yasmin, but we're really lucky to also have Yasmin on the line, who works in Kinga's team. So she was a mentor last year and worked with each of the teams. And then Lily was also a mentor. So the purpose of the mentor is to ask you questions and say if they can see you going slightly on a tangent or off maybe in a direction that's not 100% relevant. They might ask some questions and spar with you. So it's a very I would say it's a very sort of workshop type environment rather than an examination type environment. So we want it to be collaborative rather than we're here to test you on some specific knowledge. I don't know whether Yasmin or Lily, you have anything to add to your mentoring experience.
Yeah, I did want to add that exactly. We will try to actually help you and give you some tips, because we are there not to, kind of test your knowledge. We are there to help you, show your best sides to us. We are very interested in that. So we will try to help you. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Great to hear. Thanks, guys.
Does that answer your question fully? So maybe on the application, perhaps it doesn't need to be as strict a process to prepare, and then on the day know your strengths and be able to bring those, and understand that it will be based on our strategy and transactions kind of teams, which Lily went through. So there'll be questions around those kinds of themes.
Yeah.
And then mentors on the day to support you. Any other, and thanks so much for being brave and coming off mute and asking a question. Does anyone, I'm just wary of time and that you may all have other places that you need to go, but I most certainly can stay online and answer any further questions. But does anyone else have a specific question that they would like us to cover?
Hi, I have one. So,
Hi.
yeah, I'm Jialin. Nice to
Hi.
meet you. I'm a student at Aalto.
Nice
And so
to
my
meet you.
question would be that how much technical knowledge is required in this competition? Like, for example, I don't know, calculating some or valuation, knowing how to calculate like the NPV or anything.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think I think how
Could maybe Lauri or Antti, who did this year's case study, give a hint? Because we have changed things around a little bit. I think last year it was a little bit more technical, but you couldn't use computers last year. So obviously you couldn't do a lot of calculations.
Yeah. Just to add a bit on that as well. It wasn't too difficult, the calculations either. It was just division, like for example, multiples. So you just basically have to give more of the reasoning again to back up which companies you're choosing as a comparable company, and just do a simple average and then get the multiple. So it wasn't too much on the NPV or the technical finance per se, Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we will provide you with, so say for example, just to maybe ground that in some context, last year there was a valuation question. But because we appreciated people didn't have computers and not everybody has a finance background, we actually went over the kind of three main valuation approaches and gave a bit of summary as to why you would pick one over the other. And then you were able to apply that knowledge to the case study. So if there is something technical, like a valuation approach, then we will provide that information. And we're also very careful about how we group people together. So say, for example, if we do have a lot of people that don't have a finance background, we strategically will not put them all in the same team. We will always partner someone with not a finance background, maybe with someone with a corporate finance background. So we just make sure that we have from your CV and your application that we have that we group people together really well, and that if there is some technical knowledge required, that we provide you with some background to that. This year we can't really avoid not giving people computers because it's virtual, so you will have your laptops. But what I can say is you will not be given an Excel file full of data, just rows and rows and worksheets full of data that you need to process. As Chie Cheing mentioned, it's really, we want to know why, where does the value come from? Why have you chosen this over that? Like, it's more about your reasoning behind it rather than you got to the right valuation or you got to the right the right calculation. That's kind of the purpose of it, because that's what's really important when you actually work in our business, is that we understand why. Does anyone else have anything to add to that?
Antti here, just commenting that
thanks,
fully
Antti.
agree with what you have said, and if I would be judging this, it's not only getting the number right, it's not the main point. Just like you all said, the reasoning behind the thinking and being able to break that down very easily, and that other people can understand your thinking. Whether the correct value is 100 or 110, it isn't the most important thing, in my opinion, if I would be judging this, but I'm not. But like Annalise said, you are not giving Excel with thousands of rows of data. So even though you wouldn't have done any valuation before, I think you would be able to do the valuation nevertheless. So with the help of others.
And maybe just as I think out aloud, the jury, the presentations to the jury will be interactive. So they will ask questions to kind of draw this thinking out. and yeah, so that they, and then we also provide them with sort of assessment ideas, like what does a good answer look like? And I can tell you it's not, oh, the answer is 110 million for this company or something. So it's really around the thinking and what good answers will, what they'll kind of mention or what they'll be thinking about. So yeah, you have a lot of support. You have a lot of support.
And it's not just the mentors who will try to help you. Actually, a jury with their questions will also try to hint you where to go. Yeah.
Exactly. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. That answers my question very well.
Great. Anybody else with a question? Okay, well, maybe we leave it there because I do appreciate we're 10 minutes over. So if you do have any questions or anything does come to mind, I know you have myself and Heather's contact details. So please reach out to us individually and we can try our best to respond to those. Thank you again to everyone who's part of this information session. We're really excited about this competition and it's really important to us. So we really appreciate you signing up and letting us talk about what we're really passionate about as a team. So thank you so much. And yeah, I think that's it from us, unless anyone else has anything to add.